Why do some men seem to sabotage their own lives without ever realizing it? Why do they repeat the same mistakes, blame the world, and never grow? The answer may lie not in intelligence, but in something far deeper: emotional immaturity, unconscious behavior, and an unwillingness to evolve. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." That single sentence holds the key to understanding the foolish man, not because he's unintelligent, but because he is unaware. So today, we're going to explore the 6 unmistakable signs of a man trapped in his own stupidity. And as we go through them, ask yourself, have you seen these signs in others, or even in yourself? Because sometimes the most dangerous kind of foolishness is the one we don't even realize we're living in. 1. He thinks he knows everything. One of the most dangerous traits of a foolish man is his belief that he has nothing left to learn. He confuses confidence with wisdom, opinion with fact, and noise with intelligence. He speaks often but rarely listens. He mistakes memorized information for true understanding and sees disagreement as a personal attack. Instead of expanding his mind, he reinforces his biases. He mocks new ideas, resists feedback, and surrounds himself with people who confirm his worldview. Carl Jung noted that people often judge instead of thinking because thinking requires effort, something the foolish man avoids. But the tragic irony is this: the man who believes he knows everything is the one who understands the least. While the wise man questions himself constantly, the fool remains trapped in his illusion of certainty, making the same poor decisions over and over. 2. He never takes responsibility. A foolish man is never at fault. No matter what happens, he always has someone else to blame. His relationships fail because of women. His career stalls because of his boss. His finances suffer because the system is unfair. He is the eternal victim, never the cause. But this is not just denial, this is avoidance of self. Jung spoke of how people will do almost anything to avoid confronting their own souls. And for the stupid man, taking responsibility would mean acknowledging his own role in his suffering, a truth far too uncomfortable for his fragile ego. By avoiding accountability, he loses the power to change, because the moment you blame others, you surrender control over your life. A wise man adapts, learns, and grows. A fool deflects, resists, and stays stuck. 3. He can't control his emotions. Emotional impulsiveness is a hallmark of stupidity. The foolish man reacts before he thinks. He is quick to anger, easily offended, and prone to emotional outbursts that destroy trust and credibility. Whether it's rage during an argument, recklessness during stress, or passive-aggressive silence in discomfort, he is ruled by feelings he doesn't understand. He sees emotional volatility as strength, but it's the opposite. As Proverbs says, a fool gives full vent to his spirit, but a wise man quietly holds it back. Carl Jung warned that what we fail to make conscious will control us. And for the emotionally undisciplined man, his unconscious emotions become his destiny. He ruins opportunities, relationships, and peace of mind, then blames others for the chaos he created. This lack of emotional control is often rooted in a deep fear of vulnerability. The foolish man equates stillness with weakness and expression with danger. So instead of learning to process his emotions, he suppresses them until they explode, or masks them behind anger, sarcasm, or pride. He's never been taught how to sit with discomfort, so he lashes out to regain a false sense of power. In truth, this behavior is not strength, it's emotional immaturity. And the cost is high: damaged relationships, missed opportunities, and a life ruled by reactions instead of reason. The man who cannot govern his inner world will always be a victim of the outer one. 4. He surrounds himself with fools. Show me a man's circle and I'll show you his future. The foolish man surrounds himself with enablers, flatterers, and equally lost individuals. He chooses company that makes him feel safe, not challenged. Why? Because smart people make him uncomfortable. Successful men reveal his inadequacies, and truth-tellers threaten his illusion. So he avoids mentors, mocks ambition, and prefers to be the smartest one in a weak room rather than the least informed in a strong one. Jung believed that we unconsciously absorb the energy of those around us. So when a man is surrounded by gossip, laziness, and negativity, it doesn't just influence him, it defines him. The wise man does the opposite. He seeks out people who push him to grow. He invites critique, values deep conversation, and builds a circle that demands his best. The fool chooses comfort. The wise man chooses challenge. 5. He chases pleasure instead of purpose. Stupid men are ruled by their appetites. They pursue quick highs and easy gratification, ignoring the long-term cost. Whether it's food, sex, entertainment, or mindless scrolling, they seek distraction instead of development. This is the lower self in control. Jung believed that the human psyche is in constant battle between the higher self and the shadow. The foolish man gives in to the shadow. He avoids discomfort, discipline, and delay. He builds nothing, he only consumes. But pleasure is a trap, and the man who cannot delay gratification will forever remain a slave to it. True strength is built in restraint. A wise man sacrifices the easy now for the powerful later. The fool does the opposite and wakes up in regret. This addiction to comfort weakens him slowly. The more he gives in to fleeting pleasure, the more he loses his inner edge, his ability to focus, to endure, to lead himself through difficult seasons. Over time, he becomes numb to ambition and allergic to effort. He confuses pleasure with happiness, yet feels more empty with every indulgence. And modern society feeds this weakness. With a tap or a swipe, he can escape boredom, loneliness, or discomfort instantly, scrolling endlessly, binging content, chasing likes, or numbing himself with fantasy. But the soul begins to atrophy when it's never challenged. And in that slow decay, the foolish man mistakes stagnation for peace, when in reality, he's just drifting further from his potential. Before we continue, I truly hope you're finding this video insightful. If so, don't forget to share it with anyone who might benefit from these ideas. 6. He never learns from his mistakes. Here lies the ultimate sign of stupidity, repeating the same patterns and expecting different outcomes. The foolish man fails, then does nothing different. He enters the same toxic relationships, makes the same bad financial decisions, and falls into the same emotional traps. Jung described this as repetition compulsion, an unconscious drive to relive old wounds and patterns because they are familiar. The fool never pauses to ask, "Why do I keep ending up here?" Instead, he externalizes blame and misses the lesson life is offering. Mistakes are not the enemy, they are teachers. But the fool ignores them, and so life must repeat the lesson again and again until the pain finally forces him to wake up. The wise man studies his errors. He uses pain as feedback. He evolves. But even when life offers its hardest lessons, many foolish men miss them, not just because they repeat their actions, but because they never pause to truly listen. They talk endlessly, dominate conversations, interrupt without thinking, and rarely ask meaningful questions. They love the sound of their own voice, but hate the discomfort of hearing something that might challenge them. And this too is a form of stupidity, because listening is the gateway to growth. It's how we gain perspective, how we build connection, how we evolve. A man who cannot listen is a man who cannot change. Often beneath all the noise is insecurity, a desperate need to be right, to be respected, to feel in control. But ironically, this constant talking reveals the opposite, a lack of self-awareness and a fear of being confronted with something deeper than his own opinion. The wise man is different. He listens more than he speaks. He values silence, reflection, and the voices of those who might know something he doesn't. And because of that, he understands more, grows faster, and earns the kind of respect that the foolish man keeps chasing but never finds. So ask yourself honestly, are you falling into any of these traps? Are you blaming others, avoiding growth, or repeating mistakes unconsciously? Stupidity, as Jung might suggest, is not a lack of intellect, but a lack of awareness. It is the refusal to confront the self, to learn, to adapt. But the good news is this: awareness is a choice, and the moment you begin to see clearly, you are no longer the fool. Stay curious, stay humble, and never stop growing. The world has enough fools. Be the exception.